All right, super excited to share these changes with you. They've turned my multiplayer networking test experience from what was basically a nightmare, a very convoluted, problematic nightmare, into a very enjoyable and fast experience. And it's done with just a couple of lines. I'm sure other people have done this and figured it out, but today was my day. So via a button press inside of my server, I can actually compile, export, and launch new clients. So right here, we're using OS.execute to tell Godot to export via this configuration. Wow, clicking all over the place. And to output this client name, whatever I want here, actually, and then wait for this process to be done, and then execute that process name. And I'm using shell open here, which is important. Shell open will actually open the debugging console window along with the client, whereas os.execute will not. So that's important to make note of. All right, so the other thing is all of this code in here, except for these two functions that I've added, is available through a tutorial series I'm following. I found it through Godot Companion, which can be found up on itch.io. It's basically a library of videos related to Godot development. Let's see, multiplayer. I go here, and you can see that we have, this is the one I'm following here, Godot Network Multiplayer Shooter Tutorial. I am just finishing up part 2 of this 9-part series. So all the code you see working today is based on those 2 tutorials, 1 and 2. All right, so let's launch. And all right, okay, so this isn't a server or a client yet. My normal workflow process is that I'm going to make some changes to the code. I'm going to launch from the editor, and then I'm going to create a server, and I'm going to add a little test client to the server. So the server is kind of acting as both a client and a server. And then the next step is to compile and launch, because I want to pick up those latest changes before launching into my client. And it's going to launch Godot, and that's going to export the executable, and then it's going to launch it as part of that second line. So here you go. I've got the second instance up and running, and now I can I could click the create server button here, but that would be kind of dumb because that's going to create 2 servers on the same IP, same port, and that'll cause problems. So we don't want to do that. So we're just going to click the join server, which is going to say, hey, treat this as a client and connect to the server. And there you go. We now have multiplayer working. All right. And the really cool thing here is that I don't have to compile and launch any more instances. I can just launch that compiled instance, and it's much faster. And now I can get my multiplayer testing on with as many clients as I want, which is really cool. And it's so much easier than the other workflows I was describing earlier. So it looks like we're dropping some packets, which might be acceptable. I don't know. That's something I'm going to have to look into and figure out why we're getting these. But everything is working otherwise. So hopefully this helps others. It's definitely helped me. Cheers.